All right, so economics is this really applicable field that can be used in pretty much any profession and any industry. In fact, I was telling um, somebody the other day, I can't remember who anymore, but you know, when it comes to the PhD economists, the guys that really know how to do a lot of analysis work, the biggest employer for PhD economists in the country is no surprising is the Federal Reserve, because that's how they run the economy, right? But the second biggest employer for PhD economists might surprise you. Any guesses which company that is? It's a big brand name that I can guarantee you that.
Amazon?
Amazon, spot on. Very good. Yeah, Amazon is the second largest employer of PhD economists in the country. In the last 5 years alone, they hired more than 150 PhD economists, and they have a team of hundreds. And the third biggest is Google. Okay, so economics actually can be used because all big companies would have a team of economists helping them do a lot of critical analytical services and work. So it's hard in a way where students don't have a clear industry that you're lined up to go into, right? So financial econ is a little bit better, and you like financial stuff, so that's the direction you can go to. But general economics, you can actually apply your skills in so many different settings. One of the biggest challenges for our students is that they don't know what they want to do, right? There's a lot of things they can't do, so they get lost. It's just analysis paralysis, right? And that is actually a big motivation for us as faculty to create this very course to give you this, early on, this clear vision of what you can do. And then hopefully you'll say, hey, that sounds interesting. And then you can focus your studies and planning your internships accordingly, instead of just say, hey, it's my last semester. Who can give me an internship? I don't know, but whatever works, I can check the box, right? Because those things are supposed to be very, very meaningful in your career preparation. Okay, so now let's look at from not my perspective, from what I share as a general rule of thumb of some of the reasons why you want to do economics. So, well, let's see. Okay, some of the reasons may be related to you. Some of you have already mentioned this, right? Economics is very analytically inclined. You learn how to analyze different situations and different things and cost benefits, and it's a critical skill you can have. Hopefully you can learn not to take things at their face values and or just be blown with whichever wind of what other people are saying, right? You will be able to think for yourself. That's our hope. Okay, it is very logical and a lot of reasoning. So it's not just your feelings of something, then you can just express it. Now, there's nothing wrong with that if you're in certain fields like arts, but when it comes to economics, we want you to be able to think with logic and be able to explain your conclusions with reasoning. Okay, we do have many challenging courses. It's your intellect that will be put to the test. And I hope you view that as a good thing for a couple of big reasons, right? One, I know that, our Heavenly Father didn't put you guys here to just be mediocre in everything, right? You have been given many talents, and if you don't challenge yourself, it's very hard to find what those talents are sometimes. And second of all, I always tell my students, look, you guys have all taken Econ 150, 151, and on the road of easiness, you will find many companions, which means in that market, the supply is going to be extremely high. And when the supply is high, what happens to the price of what you can offer? It's going to be minimal and pitiful in many cases, right? So if you challenge yourselves, you're going to be worth more, okay? And then, of course, we also have business and research interests in economics. And more and more so, we are introducing, economics has always been this field that does a lot of statistical analyses. And the difference is that, between economics and statistics, that statistics mainly focuses on correlation. They can tell you these two things are related somehow, okay? But usually that's where statisticians will stop. But economists have taken more math and created ways to really draw out the causal relationships, which is a big step forward, where you can say, well, not only I can tell you these things are related, but I can conclude with a fair amount of confidence that when A happens, B is going to be affected in this way by this much. Okay. And that becomes extremely valuable in pretty much any industry, right? So that's why economists are hired in so many different industries and companies. And more so with our data skills and the fact that we're entering this whole big data era, now everything is quantified. Economists have become more and more important because you can, well, I should back up, and like, we are teaching more and more, and in the econ profession, there's more and more use of basic programming. You're not expected to become a computer programmer, but if you continue with the major, you'll see that we recommend and require some basic programming skills, because what that allows you to do is, first of all, to handle the nowadays data analysis with different program packages that get more and more complicated. But also, you are this rare piece that builds a bridge between the programming nerds and the business, business world, because they don't speak each other's languages, right? But the business now really needs all the programming nerds to run their businesses. There's just nothing can be left just on paper and not have some kind of software or website or analyses. But these guys over here know how to write codes, but they don't know how businesses work. These guys over here don't have a clue of how coding works, but you can be the perfect bridge in between, where you understand the languages of both, and that makes you extremely valuable, as long as you can obtain those skills, okay? Now, other things is, your career can have a wide variety of potentials. You, by coming into economics, you're not locking yourself down to, the rest of your life doing something that you might regret later, right? And salary potentials, okay? That is one that a lot of people don't realize how much economists make. I'm not saying that we make the most money, but economists make higher than most majors. Econ major provides you with that opportunity. And you don't start as one of the highest. Your starting salary is higher than average, but not one of the highest. But your potential for growth is remarkable. And I've had, graduates from our program where they started at $43,000, $45,000, and then within 3 to 5 years, they change their jobs a couple of times, and then they reach six figures. It's that quick sometimes, not promised, right? And that depends on your own abilities and your opportunities you encounter. But I'll show you some data in a minute of what I mean. So now, talking about money does not mean somehow, we're all shallow and we think you should all pursue money, but money is one measurement of the worth of your education, right? So what you're receiving, if you work hard for 4 years, graduate, and then can only find a job waiting tables, well, I'm sorry, but that means your education probably was not very valuable in the eyes of society or industries, okay? And so we don't talk about money because somehow we're all fascinated and greedy and with money, but rather it's one measurement to indicate the value of your education. And also, the Lord wants to bless you to be successful, right? He doesn't want you to be selfish, but he definitely doesn't want you to just be poor and humble for no reason, right? And I always say a righteous, wealthy person can do so much good. I don't know how many of you were around here before the holidays in Rexburg and followed the Secret Santa stories, right? So there's this Secret Santa in this area in southeastern Idaho, and this every year This person donates hundreds of thousands of dollars to help families in need. And this year, he helped 75 families and spent more than $550,000. And several of my friends actually were personally helped and touched. One of the families we know lost their son suddenly right before the holidays, and it was an extremely difficult and heartbroken situation. And this Secret Santa gave them some money for Christmas and paid for their headstone. They don't know who it is. And just this crew showed up and just said, just so you know, we're really sorry for your loss, and here it is. Another friend we knew, she's a single mom, and she moved into this really broken down apartment with no shower. And the Secret Santa showed up and said, hey, heard about your situation. Here's the money that will help pay for your renovation and have a shower. And so just things like that, right? When you can become successful and righteous, you can do so much good in the world. Okay, so Heavenly Father wants you to succeed. I can guarantee you that. And economics is a good option in terms of what you can do to achieve that. Okay. All right. So now here's just some, well, actually I have some updated numbers for this. So this is the, how much your major is worth by a bunch of different, researchers at Georgetown University. I think I found the updated data. This is a couple years old. So this is their newest findings. Okay. So let me back up and you can see what their main page looks like. So they tell you here are the different majors by group, and economics exists in several different places, right? So you guys can check, in business, for example, if you click on it, this is national average. And if you want to look at a specific state, you can click on the map on the state and it should show you too. But, accounting with a bachelor's degree, your 25th percentile is 47,000, median income is 69, 75th percentile is 103. Okay, with a graduate degree in accounting is 61, 91, 135 respectively. With business economics, which is a weaker version of economics where we don't use nearly as much math, we don't offer that degree, but it gives you a little bit of a indication. But you start a median and your higher level and your higher end are all a little bit higher than accounting. And if you get a graduate degree, okay, and your median income is going to be $100,000. Now, that's business econ. If you go into economics, okay, which is in social sciences, you can see it compared to other social sciences, economics is way out of the norm here, right? So with a bachelor's degree, okay, the 25th percentile is 48,000. That's probably what you can expect as your starting salary. Your median, okay, which is the middle salary, that's going to be 76. And then the 75th percentile is 118, right? And you can see if you can make it to the top of your field, right, it's $180,000+ a year, okay? And I know those numbers probably sound strange and crazy for some of you, but that's the reality of the earning potential. Depends on how well you train yourself and what kind of opportunities you can obtain in life, right?
I have a question. What
Sure.
what type of jobs would those involve?
We'll get there in just a second. I'll tell you what
Okay.
kind of companies and what kind of job titles that our students have obtained. Okay. Um, so if you go into agricultural majors, okay, ag biz also higher than anything else. Okay. Not ag biz, sorry, agricultural economics, ag econ, similar to regular econ, and the grad degree offers a little bit lower because in ag fields, unfortunately, people's income is generally slightly lower. Okay, but the point is, you are in one of the majors that offers the best earning potentials. Now, when it comes to starting salary, I think I have that information somewhere. Yeah, so Average starting salary, you can see the highest. This is again, dated a little bit, but this ranking doesn't change much. Okay, engineering tends to start you higher, but what this chart doesn't show you is the earning potential. With engineering, you start high, but your growth is fairly low. You don't grow much higher after maybe breaking six figures barely. But with economics, you start fairly low, just around 50,000 nowadays, but you can reach much higher levels than an engineer would, because of your decision making skills, right? So engineers generally are stuck with designing or building things for the rest of their lives, but you can become a company executive with your training. Okay? But of course, that usually requires some kind of a graduate degree. Okay. All right. Any other any other questions um, before I move on to the next thing I want to share with you? Okay. All right. Then let me stop share for a second, go find my next file.
I have a question.
Sure.
So, in regards to like BYU Idaho students in particular, econ students,
Yeah.
how do they compare to those statistics? Like, are they like on par or slightly higher or slightly lower
Very good
average?
question. So with our starting salary, we found it to be pretty much on par, slightly below a national average, because I think of our geographical location, because a lot of our students are from this Intermountain West region. They find jobs in this region, which is lower paid than a lot of the more populated states, right? But just very slight difference, not enough to say is statistically significant somehow. And when it comes to earning potentials in the future, we are doing quite well. We did an alumni survey about 2 years ago, I think, and we found the median income of our alumni was like $125,000 or something. And the Econ program hasn't existed that long, right? Because we just became a bachelor awarding institution back in 2001 or 2002. So not even 20 years. So these alumni, most of them are just barely reaching their mid-career point, but their median income is already well into the six figures, right? So I think our students tend to do well because of the training, but also because of a lot of other values I think you can pick up at BYU Idaho, right? Your work ethic and your integrity and et cetera. Those things are valued in business world, right? But I do have to say, a bachelor's degree, especially nowadays, more and more so, is not going to be sufficient for you to continue to progress and in your future career. So you should plan, most of you should plan at some point, either right after graduation or after you get into your career, to obtain some kind of graduate degree, because that's more and more expected. And in fact, we found with our alumni, within 5 years of graduation, 85% of you will be enrolled in some kind of graduate program or have graduated from it. So just keep that in mind. So when we talk about your option to go to grad school, I think in a week or so, then you should all pay attention, even though right now you might think, yeah, grad school, right? I don't want to torture myself anymore. But trust me, at a point you'll say, hey, I need an advanced degree in order to, climb the ladder, if you will, for the lack of a better term. Okay, Choi?
Typically, the companies that'll hire econ bachelor students, are they the type of companies that'll help pay for graduate school?
Not all of them. Many do. Depends on the company, depends on the industry. And I found that, if the company expects you to continue to grow in their company, many times they will offer to pay. And then you have to agree to come back and work for a minimum of, 2 or 3 years afterwards. But if it's a company that just expects to, churn out fresh meat in a way, right? And then no, those opportunities are not going to be there. So if you go into banking, the financial sector, depends on your job, but many times they will pay and help you get an advanced degree. If you go into consulting, oftentimes same thing, they expect you to go get at least an MBA or something and come back and serve their company better with more knowledge. And that actually, depends on your goal, right? And consulting is extremely competitive to get into, especially the good big firms. And they usually recruit exclusively from the schools that they know the quality of, and they like the graduates. And then also their alumni have taken over their decision-making body. So, they go back and recruit their own alumni later. So BYU Idaho, unfortunately, doesn't have that, not yet. Maybe one day you guys can help change that. So a few of our graduates eventually make it into that world, but we don't have enough to create any kind of momentum. But that world can be extremely beneficial because all the consulting firms, especially the big ones, tend to hire really successful economists, like usually to work on the side for them as a part-time job. So if you
Could I
do
add
get a
something to
job,
that?
yeah.
Yeah. So I've been looking into that route. A lot of so I served my mission in Taiwan, and a lot of people that go to Taiwan took Chinese in high school, which means a lot of the demographics of that is really well-connected people that had lots of money in their family. So I went to I went to on my mission with a lot of people going to Harvard and Princeton and other colleges beforehand. So a lot of my friends have done what's his name, like the people that were training me and that generation above me have gone on to do business consulting and that type of thing. Most of what I'm hearing is that a lot of those companies are looking for extremely strong math related skills.
Oh yeah, which
And
Econ is, yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
and a lot of coding.
Right.
So like one of my friends is working at one of those companies that will start people with 1-2 years of experience in economy at $120,000 a year, but he's looking for people that have skills in R, Python, and have experience in the field.
Right.
So
yeah. That's
it's
why
possible. It's possible even without the college connections, but you have to
It
be able
is.
to
Yeah.
show that you have the potential to make money for them.
Oh yeah. And yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So a few of our graduates have made it, but we just don't have that momentum to be anything special to these companies. But anyway, that's not the only route. I was just trying to say that if you get a job like that, you get to rub shoulders with some really famous, economists. So if you want to go to grad school and they write you a letter, then you can reach much higher levels than you could directly from, BYU Idaho upon graduation, right? So, one of my friends, BYU is different. BYU actually is now a target school for McKinsey, which is are they the biggest or Bain the biggest? I can't remember. One of the two biggest consulting firms in the world. And when I was going to BYU, that wasn't the case, but still many students make it. And so one guy, went to work for McKinsey, and he worked for what's that guy's name? Ben? No, Glenn.
Buttigieg?
Huh? What?
Pete Buttigieg?
No, sir. Yes, Glenn something. I can't remember, and at this moment, kind of feeling kind of dumb. But anyway, it was the dean of Columbia Business School, and Columbia happened to be my friend's dream school. So when he worked under Glenn for a couple of years, and he wanted to go to grad school at Columbia, so the dean of the school wrote him a letter recommending him to go to his own school. Well, he got in, right? So and that's just the kind of opportunities that sometimes you can think of when it comes to working and planning on going to grad school later, right? So, but anyway, that's kind of a side topic. Now, let's see. Okay, let me show you some resources of where you can go to explore your future career choices. This is available for you in Canvas. After, I can't remember if it's available now or after class, you'll have access to it. But so let me just share my screen. But either way, you will have access to it, so you don't have to write anything down or take a picture. Okay, but here's some online resources. There's a website from the Bureau of Labor Statistics about occupational outlook, and or the U.S. Department of Labor have this occupational network to help people find a job. And there's this thing called the Vault, and they provide information about different industries, companies, and etc. Okay, and vocational biographies, new and emerging occupations, and no, don't do the best jobs of 2013. Just do a Google search of 2021. I didn't see the old link is in here, but anyway, the point is you can find a lot of resources about what different kinds of jobs are there. And I promise you, there are so many more and so many more in economics that you did not know or they even existed. Okay. Now, your assignment for this week, okay, is to develop this career plan. Again, this is something I want you to download and fill out and then submit back. But you will, this is not the end of the class. I'm just telling you, since we're here, you will go find information about 2 different career paths that you can take with your major, right? It's just not random stuff, but you can tell me, hey, I'm studying economics or financial economics or agricultural economics. Here's what I can do based on my research. And these are the 2 I'm interested in. And then fill this out. Tell me about career choice number 1. Then what does it require for you to enter that career? What's your short-term career goal if you go in there? And what do you want to do following graduation? What's your long-term goal? Then you figure out specifically one of those 2 things, one of those 2 career paths. What's the job title that you're interested in doing? And where did you find the information? And what kind of work do you perform? Okay, what kind of working conditions do you have? And then what kind of training do you need? And what kind of classes are required? And then where you can go to get such training? And then abilities required? And then where can you be employed and who will hire people like that? And then just fill this out, salary range and etc. Okay, do this for 2 different career paths that you can do. This is the second one. Okay, fill this out. And now this is not something you can do just next Friday night. So start early, start right away. Okay, do research. And this should, I hope you're not doing any of this for me, right? You should not be in this class just for a grade, because I'm trying to help you see how you can prepare for your future, right? You should do this for you. You should be excited and to go do this, okay? All right, any questions about what I want you to do based on the resources I have shown you? Okay, we're good? All right, then let me see. Here is a list of companies that our graduates have gone to in the last, I don't know how many years. I haven't updated in the last couple of years because I haven't gathered that information from the department, but this is a pretty extensive list. Okay, so you can see these different companies. A lot of them are companies probably you haven't heard of because there are so many different companies, but there are big ones. When we say Walmart, we don't mean that we have graduates that are greeters or collecting carts at Walmart. This is the Walmart Corporation in Arkansas, in Bentonville, Arkansas. And Walmart, I know, treats their hourly employees not that great. And it was kind of all over the news a few years ago, but they treat their full-time employees actually very well. In fact, I was kind of surprised a couple of years ago to learn that the average salary for a Walmart store manager is about $150,000. Right? So whoever manages the store in Rexburg is making six figures. You can be pretty sure of that. So that means, you know, they do treat their employees very well. And I know because I've talked to some alumni that have gone there, right? And yeah, then we have people that went to the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, so FDIC, and Dow Chemical, which is, you know, a huge company, U.S. Bank. Who went to NFL? I got to ask about that one. Not a player. I'm pretty sure it's not a player. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan. Okay. See, but I'll just scroll this down. And if you have a question or comment about something, tell me. But let me catch up on the chats because you guys like to chat, but it's hard for me to watch the screen to see anybody got anything and then watch the chat at the same time.
I have a question.
Sure.
So for potential careers, is it common to, you know, have a job offer after you do an internship with a company? Is that a good way to get in?
That is a very good way to get in. That's what we hope will happen when you get an internship. That's why even though the RBDC Center in Rexburg is offering a lot of options, we really encourage our students to get out of Rexburg and do something different, right? Because the RBDC, first of all, cannot offer you a job after you're done. Second of all is we want to see and realize there is a whole big world out there that you can do good in instead of just staying in Rexburg. I know that it's hard if you're married or you even got kids, but if you can, you know, go somewhere to do your internship and work in that company, because that's a totally different experience than working remote in Rexburg for a project, on a project for a company, right? But that's the ideal way. That's why internships are crucial. And that's why we say we require a minimum of one internship, but the more you can do, the better, right? If you do four for the 4 years in college, that would be remarkable. And that will also make your resume so stand out so much more that you're a lot more likely to get a job, even if somehow the internship didn't turn into a job. Okay?
Is there a particular time that you would do like an internship where you are actually interested in pursuing a career in that company?
Yeah, so we will have a whole class on internships coming up, but the short answer is, you know, you should at least start doing internships in your sophomore year. And if you can find one in your freshman year, after your freshman year, that's even better, right? But you should definitely start looking one and actually doing one for your sophomore year. And in the econ department, we now allow you to break up your credits you can receive for internships. If you say, hey, I'm not that strong yet, so this internship is just getting my toes wet, you can choose to only earn like 1 credit from that, and then we'll save the rest of the credits for your big internship that you can actually learn more skills in. Okay, Choi?
A lot of companies are going digital, and so you don't have to be there on site.
Right.
Would you say the econ world is heading more in that direction than the general business or general industries, or would you say it's less so?
I don't know. We'll have to observe after the pandemic, right? During the pandemic, you know, econ, along many other fields that don't require you to actually perform kind of manual labor on site have gone remote. Now, I know for the programming world, they've been doing that for years, and now it's just totally tipped over, and everybody's like, why are we renting this fancy office building when we can just have everybody, you know, go home and do the same work, right? So, but in economics, it depends on the industry, right? Because there's not a clear defined industry that we all go into. So I think it depends on which industry you go into, and also, I guess you're definitely capable of working remote based on the kind of skills you pick up and the kind of work you're likely to perform. So I don't know, maybe that yeah, I am sure that's the way that it's going to go, but I don't know if econ is going any faster than other fields. So Yeah, but engineering, on the other hand, probably won't go nearly as fast, because I have a really good friend that's an engineer. He works remote most of the time at home, but then every few weeks he has to go to his company because they manufacture things and they need an engineer on site all the time when they manufacture, just in case anything happens. So he and his team take turns. So that kind of job will probably never fully go remote, right? Okay. All right. Any other
Sounds good,
questions?
thanks.
Yep, you're welcome. But anyway, so I'll just scroll down some more, and if you see anything interesting. Another thing is, it's never too early to start networking. That's going to be another week's topic. We'll talk to you about how to find opportunities and how to network and how to maintain a relationship and etc. But these are all alumni out there. Okay. Somebody went to the Federal Reserve Board. That's a big deal, right? And if you're interested in academia, somebody went to work at University of Tennessee. Okay. And if you are interested in banking, well, Zions Bank or Goldman Sachs. And if you're interested in government, somebody went to the state of Idaho. Okay. And so you can find the information of a lot of these people through the alumni office. They have their website, and you can go, if you just Google, now just search for BYU alumni office and then click on their website, they have a list of showing you which field do you want to go into. Here's the contacts that have said they're willing to help BYU Idaho students. Okay, Tavi?
Yeah. It says on there that the U.S. Army,
Mm-hmm.
they went to work for the U.S. Army. Does that mean they're working as an economist for the U.S. Army, or they're just doing something in the Army?
I don't know. Yeah, because a lot of our students go into the military, but I don't know. My guess is that probably is a ROTC student who graduated and became an officer in the Army, but I don't know for sure. Right? Yeah. So because these are just the list of companies our students have gone to in the past several years, but I have no idea what their job is right now. Okay, but I do have. Oh, any questions about this list before I move on? I do have a list of their job titles, at least their starting job titles. I'm sure many of them have changed. Okay, we're good? Okay, let's see. I think I missed some chats just in case people have. Okay, Dane asks, serious question, how can we do our careers avoid being the posters of the business world? Like, what do you mean by that, Dane? Like, clarify for me.
So like I've been reading a lot about like there's these different professions where we get a lot of these hard skills, whether it's programming or different things. And when I say programming, I don't mean programming is one of them, but like pollsters are people who spent a lot of time learning these statistics and different things, but they're just in general in mass in aggregate, they're just awful at their job performing, I guess, ultimately. And like how do we avoid being people who
Just
a man with a hammer sees a bunch of nails, and we're just trying to find uses for all these skills we have with econ, and how do we really make sure that we're useful with these skills that we're having and not just making ourselves feel nice, if that makes sense.
That's a great question, right? And a lot of it will be your own motivation, right? Because if you don't want to be that role, then you will find ways to not be in that role. But then there are things you can do, right? Networking is a great one, for example. And another thing that you can do is to not just be this person that only does what's asked, right? If you show initiative and if you contribute on your own when you're not asked, people will notice you and you will rise actually fairly quickly. Like, most of our alumni that at least I keep in touch with that have gone on get promoted pretty quickly because they're self-starters. They go to a company, they don't just wait and to be told what to do. And some learn the hard way, right? They keep waiting and waiting and waiting, and then their boss finally tells them, when are you gonna, work on that and let me know and what the results are. They're like, oh, you didn't tell me to get started. They're like, well, that's something obviously we all need to do, right? So, but the ones that do go into a company and then not only do their responsibilities given, but then find ways to say, hey, what else can I contribute? Or how can I make things better, right? Sure, this has been done for the last 50 years in this company, but is there any way to improve this instead of just say, hey, I've been told to keep just running these numbers like this, so I'm just doing that, and then that's how I make my buck. But just show your true devotion, and then networking is a great thing. I just can't emphasize that enough, right? More than 65% of the jobs are filled by people who know somebody at that company. And if you're
Awesome.
just
Thank you. No, that's a good answer. Thank you.
okay, you're welcome. Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's see. I think I have a occupation list here that I want to show you. Let's see. Oh, is there any way to make this bigger? Okay, so this is from our recent graduates, and so for financial econ, here's some of their titles for their starter job. Yeah, so lawyers, well, I guess not all of them are beginning titles. Lawyers are after law school, but yeah, so our alumni are doing all these different things. I'm not going to read all of them, but I'll slowly scroll the screen down. You can take a look, and I'm pretty sure this is posted in Canvas. So after class, you'll have access to this and you can look at it. Okay. And if you see anything interesting, feel free to make a comment or point it out. Royal Bank of Scotland sounds like an awesome job. That doesn't mean you manage the assets for the Royals, but it would be pretty cool. Okay, then we're slowly getting into economics now and their job titles. Anything that is interesting so far? Anything you're like, oh, I didn't know that existed, I want to do that.
When it says intelligence analysis, do you know what kind of intelligence it's talking about?
Intelligence analyst right here. I don't know, but it could be business intelligence. It could be just for the government. We do have a lot of students that go work for the government and do fairly well. If you're interested in that route, I used to have one contact in DC that works in the State Department, and I used to have him present to the students and talk about how to get into the government and what are the benefits and et cetera. But he is now in Taiwan waiting to be sent to China to be one of the high diplomats there. So I don't think he can present to us anymore, especially given the distance and the time difference. But I know some because of his presentations throughout the years and my association with him. So yeah, there are a lot of perks in working in government, and econ is so analytical. You make a really good, intelligence officer. And in fact, the State Department has a whole branch of gathering economic intelligence specifically, right?
What's the difference between a financial advisor and an investment advisor?
Very similar to my understanding. I'm not trained in finance, but I think investment advisor probably is just more focused than a financial advisor, right? So I don't know if necessarily there's a difference in the volume of money you handle. Maybe there's a difference, but yeah, our students, a lot of them go into the financial fields, but I feel so a lot of them go into banking, a lot of do financial advising, and then most actually do become financial analysts for these big companies. Yeah, so this is ag econ. I don't know how many. Do we have any ag econ in here? Majors? No? Okay. All right. Then I won't bother to show the rest of the list with ag econ. Okay. All right. So anyway, let's see. What's an econometrician? That's a great question, Izzy. An econometrician is an economist that specializes in doing something called econometric matrix, which is our data analysis skills. Right. So that's what Econ 388 will teach you when you get there, and we'll teach you how to handle data sets, how to clean data sets and make sure everything works right, and then how to analyze the data and draw meaningful conclusions. And so that's the hard skill you can develop. But then, of course, make sure you also work on your soft skills of presentation, et cetera. Because if you can understand data really, really well, but you can't explain it to your boss who has no idea how to look at the tables you have created, then you still have not succeeded, right? You got to be able to analyze it, understand it, and then communicate it. And so you have to be the whole package to be effective. But that's what an econometrician is. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Okay. I will stop sharing. And well, I hope you found this helpful in some way, and at least exciting about what potential opportunities are there for you out in the world. But you got to be able to do that. I mean, in order to do that, you got to be able to prepare now, right? So that means you have to have good grades. You have to actually learn these things, and you can't fake your way into success or just cram your way into success. You really need to learn these skills. But on top of the hard skills you develop in your classes, there are many soft skills you need to consciously work on, right? So presentation, communication, networking, and these are all crucial things that you need to do, and you can do it. I know it probably sounds overwhelming, but trust me, you have time. Yeah, you're young and you're in the perfect position to start developing these skills. So, okay. All right. If there's no more questions, then that's it for today. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. And don't forget to turn in your assignment tonight and start working on your next assignment early, right? That's not something you can cram quickly on, okay? And you shouldn't be cramming on anything anyway. Okay. Sorry, who had a question? No? Okay. All right. Well, see you guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Yes.
I
Um,
had a
I have a question regarding econometrics.
Regarding what?
Econometrics.
Okay.
Is the school like have any plans to have a